to give the impression that they would know the value of it. So that's a very sneaky business move. Very, very shrewd. Very shrewd. Looks like something Obin would do.
No, but then it makes sense because if you are selling vision, you must sell. Hello guys, welcome back to another episode of the Self-Taught Novice. Is it raining? Yeah. With myself, that's your bay, and
Maxwell Dankwa.
And finally, Salas is joining us again with his bosom, and we have Maxwell. So, guys, what's new on your end?
Wait, I call the head the bosom, or you're calling me the bosom?
Both of you. I mean, bosom. There's a package.
Hey, who did I offend?
So today we have a lot to discuss. This has been quite an interesting week for tech all over the world over. Disturbing news items. Might want to talk about what's happened with Wakanda. Just as a way of
it will really be strange because this episode will come way later during the week.
Yeah. Just a footnote, not like a main aspect, because we all know that most people, but you know, it's a funny thing. Most people knew Chadwick Boseman from Wakanda, from Black Panther, not
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's like this guy, Iron Man. What's his actual name?
Robert Downey
Jr. So a lot of people know him as Iron Man, even outside the movie. Yeah. So
that's how I got to know about him actually. And funny enough, like once you do so well in a role like that, you actually become your role. Like even though you
and luckily for them,
that's very difficult.
Iron Man was
exactly
this kind of crossover. I was able to manage that and then still do all the things I was able to do. Why is no one asking the very important question? How can you have chemotherapy and still keep all your hair? Who noticed he never lost his hair, but he was having chemotherapy back to back. Well, like he had hair like Silas, like bosom hair and all that.
With a beard and everything.
Yeah, it's serious because white folks.
This is a low blue. This is a low.
But this is a question I was wondering because he really had good hair.
Yeah, but I mean, it goes to show his. It goes to show his work ethics, because even with all this, he managed to pull all these things. So even recording, shooting Black Panther, he had this diagnosis because Black Panther came in 2018, and he was diagnosed in 2016. So meaning he was 2 years into it, and he managed to live. Did you see the video where someone asked him about Black Panther 2 and he said, "I'll be dead"?
Really?
Yeah. Oh, let me show you.
That's weird. I mean, that's creepy.
I know. And the man was trying to do. They were like, "No, I'll be dead."
I mean, given that, like I have like a couple of friends who are like cancer patients. Like
you
that is something that's constantly on their mind. Yeah.
Ghana.
Yeah, Ghana.
Right. So, if you say I know the gully better, that's why I know they see them people or what. Like
they are there. I mean, like when you mentioned the hair thing, that's why I was so tired about the fact that like Chadwick still had his hair.
I've seen someone have breast cancer, but she managed to survive it anyway.
Yeah. I'm also related to a breast cancer survivor. So.
Crazy.
Then you have to pull up this thing twice as fast.
I saw it on what's the name, Twitter, but then since it just happened, it will be very difficult to find a video on Twitter. But then
it's probably bookmarked or liked it or something.
Yeah.
I didn't want it to appear on my timeline, so I just saw one of those things you see and you walk away.
But I doubt you see it because Twitter doesn't keep your timeline chronological. So.
Exactly.
And with people like rage tweeting about him to get buried.
Exactly.
Yeah. Unless like the interaction gets high, then will pop up in your feed.
But I hate the fact that you get he's getting this much recognition when he's dead. Like this routine of us always talking about people.
People didn't know.
But I feel like
people didn't know.
Not that he wasn't appreciated, but you know.
Oh, I feel like he was, especially in 2018.
I've seen it. I think I've seen the video. So let me see if I can play it.
You're buying the tickets. It's nuts. I mean, how does that feel to know that they love this film so much?
It's great, but I'm dead. So I can't answer any questions about that.
Oh, okay. So you don't want to give us a spoiler or anything like that?
I'm dead.
What about Black Panther 2? Anything?
I'm dead.
No, we're not ready for you to be dead, Chadwick.
But I am. I'm dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait.
I
Him
think
saying he's dead. I think there's a song on the Black Panther tracklist that says the king is dead. So probably given the timeline of the story, that's what he meant. I'm assuming though.
This crazy.
But people are like ready.
It is really crazy.
You're buying the tickets. It's nuts. I mean, how does that feel to know that they love this film so much?
It's great, but I'm dead. So I can't answer any questions about that.
Oh, okay. So you don't want to give us a spoiler or anything like that?
I'm dead.
What about Black Panther 2? Anything?
I'm dead.
No, we're not ready for you to be dead, Chadwick.
But I am. I'm dead.
Isn't it creepy?
But did he mean it from a character point of view? Or
That's what I'm assuming.
No, but then if you listen to it carefully, he said that what about Black Panther 2? And he said, I'm dead. Like I can't say anything more about that. Because he didn't die in 1. And that means the question wasn't obviously about 2, it was about 1. Wow. And see, look at his cheeks, how his cheeks are not showing here, and how his cheeks have come out. He has lost so much weight here. Look at the difference down here and the difference here.
I think getting to the later parts of 2019 and early part of 2020, that's when like his physique really became noticeable.
I think his last movie was in June, The Five Bloods.
Right? Yeah.
Five Bloods, yeah.
I mean, like it premiered in June. But,
yeah, definitely. They shot it somewhere in 2019, I guess.
2018 or 2019.
Yeah.
Well, rest in power.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, someone.
We'll be able to
yeah. There's no excuse for you to keep that head, though, Silas.
Wait, that has nothing to do.
We'll be able, but this head here, bro. anyway, okay. So today, a long list of topics to discuss, and let's get right to it. First one: TikTok CEO resigns after barely 3 months in charge. This is the former Disney CEO. That's Kevin Mayer, I think. Yeah.
This is the end. Hold your breath and count.
He was supposed to take over the position, but I think it was given to someone else. I mean, he was in line to succeed the CEO. I forgot his name.
I can't.
Was given to someone else.
Oh, Disney CEO. I can't forget this guy's name. Is it
Bob Iger?
Bob Iger. Yes.
Yeah, Bob Iger. Yeah.
He's like one of the greatest. You know, he has he grew Disney into what we see today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really a good job with Disney.
It's
I don't know why
crazy.
people don't give Steve Ballmer his credit with Microsoft, but that guy did a good job, although Microsoft probably misfired in a couple of areas. But when we're talking about premium
He
series,
misfired in a lot of areas.
yeah, whatever.
I mean, given the fact that he was strongly against like open source software, really gave him like a bad.
And he laughed at Apple, by the way. he laughed at Apple when they were bringing out this huge innovation in that space and all that.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to TikTok CEO Kevin Mayer resigns after 100 days. Kevin Mayer, the chief executive of TikTok, announced on Wednesday that he is resigning. Of course, this is TikTok US, just over 100 days after the former Disney executive joined the world's largest short video app in mid-May. The news came on the heels of TikTok's move to sue the US government over its forthcoming ban. The app, owned by Chinese internet upstart ByteDance, is caught in tensions between Beijing and Washington. Yeah. So basically, that's what's up.
Yeah. But I mean, I think given the heat of all the political activity, I think it wasn't something really expected to be a part of the job. And given, I mean, it made sense that he moved to TikTok because given the success he had obtained with Disney and also launching Disney Plus, by the way, was part of the leading executives of Disney Plus. That's Disney's new streaming service. So like it made sense that he transitioned from that role to TikTok. But given the political heat, I don't think it's something he expected from the job. So he probably quit because of that.
Exactly. It's quite surprising. No, it's quite interesting how things have really sped by, because in May, when Kevin Mayer there were rumors that he's going to take the position of CEO of TikTok US. A lot of conservative commentators came out to say that he is the sellout because he's choosing China over US and all those things. So, I mean, it was a sign of things to come, because this TikTok security issues were just beginning to brew at that time. So the idea that it was increasingly becoming more American with respect to its leadership was quite interesting to find out. But anyway, yeah, not all things last forever. So yeah, he's moved on. Kevin Mayer.
So where is he headed towards?
Where is he
heading towards?
I mean, I don't think any news, or I don't think he has come out to say where or make mention of where he's going to.
Most likely, I'm going to give him a bonus, and he's going to look for the next big opportunity. Well, given his portfolio, he'll probably have offers, very soon. So yeah, there's that.
I mean, that's how to struggle moving to another place.
Not at all. Anyway, next, the big news yesterday was it this dawn? Elon Musk Neuralink demonstration. Obin, you watched most of it. In fact, all of it. I'm surprised how, but you watched all of it.
So, yeah.
Tell us, what is this Neuralink about? I have an opinion about it, but you probably know more.
Basically, Neuralink is just getting us a little closer to the fourth industrial revolution. That's connecting man and machine together seamlessly. Emphasis on the seamlessly. So that's their overall overarching goal. But then they have to start at a point, and start at a point they are using healthcare. So they are trying to reinstate certain brain functions that may have been lost from accidents, or they are trying to solve certain neurological disorders like insomnia and paralysis and some of the other ones. I'm not a medical, and this is like I don't have them off the top of my head. But then they are trying to solve these things by having a device that can send and receive signals, electronic signals from the brain. Okay, so it's an add-on device to the brain. So the initial prototype was something that was placed behind the ear. And then was placed behind the ear. And then now they have a unibody device or a single small coin that is going to be installed as an attachment in the brain by a robot. So what they wanted to reduce what's the name, the occurrence of Okay, I think there's a video here. Mason wants me to play a video, so let me just play a video. No, I think anyway. Let me just continue. Hey, I've lost my chain of thought. So I was distracted by this thing. What was I?
You're talking about. I mean.
Let me just go take a switch back. So the robot installs the electrodes within the human brain, because the human brain is fragile and all, and he says that the robot works with so much precision that during the installation process, no blood is oozed out, and also it doesn't really hurt. And when they installed it into a pig, they were able to install it into certain receptors that were able to sound buzzers whenever the snot of the pig touches something. So you realize that in the demo, whenever the pig was eaten, you can see that anytime the snot touches something, a buzzer rings onto the display. You can see the waveforms, and also they're able to use it to predict movement of the limbs of an animal as compared to the actual movements, and they realized that the movements were very similar, and this will help them in future be able to help people to walk. So if let's say your brain cannot, like let's say you lose the ability of your brain to tell your limbs to walk, they can use Neuralink to make that connection happen without necessarily having you to go through the normal process of, let's not go through the normal process, but for the lack of a better word, making you not paralyzed and all that. So that's basically all that they discussed. So there was a Q&A from the team and all that. So let me just play this video that might hopefully explain what it does.
But while you are at that, I think this whole this media buzz about Neuralink is more or less a teaser into a possibility as versus a finished product in itself, isn't it?
So Elon Musk's review on that day was to scout for new talent, because right now they've done the proof of concept. Okay, that's why the pig snout works. There's a robot that they've built that can be able to do that, and they've been able to predict certain limb movement, and they did some other cool stuff. But then they don't have the team. They don't have a team big enough to actually make the final goal happen, which is their first goal that has to do with healthcare. So the project demo was to scout for people. So he says that this demo is to get people who are interested with what they are doing to send in applications and apply for jobs. It could be engineering related, it could be software programming, it could be business. Anyone who
only
is
90
interested.
employees work for Neuralink as of now.
Yeah, but then this is a huge project, and he's worth almost 150 billion now. So yeah,
I think who's worth 150?
Elon Musk, either 120.
He's not worth 150.
Oh, no, he's not worth 150. He's not a centi-billionaire.
I think it's 120.
He should be around.
No, he's crossed 100 billion. He's crossed 100 billion.
Yeah, it's 120.
But not 150. No.
Oh, I saw it recently, like last week.
Yeah, he's not a centi-billionaire. No, he's not a centi-billionaire. Like, there are only 3 centi-billionaires in the world.
That's okay.
Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and the Renault owner. I've forgotten his name. But they are the only people who are centi-billionaires.
Zuckerberg is a centi-billionaire, right? Or
no, I don't think he is.
Oh, okay. So that means Twitter deceived me. Someone said,
but you could check the Forbes list as the like. I mean, it's
a billionaires index.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Zuckerberg is 4 billion shy from 100 billion.
Yeah, I mean that I had this indicator that checks for centi-billionaires, and countries only 3.
Okay, so Bernard Arnault, Louis V.
Yeah.
Also, yeah.
This guy, he's so rich. His wife, His wife is a reality star or something. Yeah, some very quiet, well reserved woman. Anyway, so that means the richest woman got her money through divorce.
Yep. But last time you said it's fair. She helped him build Amazon, so makes sense.
Yeah. But back to the topic on Neuralink. I mean, another thing he mentioned
she's the third richest, but the difference is like 1.1 billion, 1.3 billion. That's the difference. Wow.
Okay.
So by looking at how business is going high and high, she will definitely become the richest woman. But I think for some time she was.
Imagine if they.
Oh, but
they didn't
Walmart, she might be there for some time now. She might be there for some time, looking at
the TikTok rumors.
No, not necessarily the TikTok rumors. The fact that the grocery chains have started picking up because a lot of people are now staying at home.
Yeah, consumer behavior. Yeah,
exactly, consumer behavior. So she might be.
But they're also beefing up their digital space as well, like improving online shopping without necessarily having people come to Walmart stores. And I think because of that, they are restructuring how they're actually building stores and instead of focusing more on the digital landscape.
Hey, someone is worth 28.9 billion for selling pet food. Hey.
Oh yeah. I mean, someone is around someone's net worth in either Korea or China is over 6 billion from gambling alone.
That one they understand though. But the pet food, primary journey.
But Silas, what's your take on Neuralink anyway?
Yeah, I mean, it's so many things. Because I think of it in two ways. As in, can it be done? As in, those are questions that I think of with Neuralink. Can it be done and should it be done? I think Elon Musk.
Someone is worth 16 billion for smartphone screens. Sorry, guys, continue. Hey,
Maybe I'd be like a car. Yeah, I said, can it be done and should it be done? So about the can it be done part, Elon Musk has obviously proved that can it be done. But I think he has faced some certain blockers in improving. As you guys rightly mentioned, the size of his team is partially to blame for it. But he has also made mention of the fact that getting human subjects to actually test the Neuralink chip on the sausage. I mean, like, there are some rule of ethics you have to comply if you exactly want to do like human-centered experiments.
Yeah.
But that aside, should it be done? The should it be done aspect makes sense. I mean, I feel like it should be done because brain implants, I think right now we have brain implants. Brain implants are becoming a regular thing now because I think it's now being used to treat Parkinson's disease and epilepsy, I guess. Yeah. So it obviously gives us like the technology already has its advantages, but given that it's technology and with the new, anytime there's new tech, there's always a set of problems that comes with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it needs time to be tested and all that.
I'd like to read. So like someone made a thread of like he's a professor of ethics. A professor of what's up? He's a professor in neuroethics, and his handle is at Key of Night. So he was basically passing comments whilst the Neuralink stream was up. So he said, so on the topic of neuroethics, he said we are going to want him to address some or even any neuroethics issues of implanting a neural sensing stimulation platform in a person's brain, but we are not up to a good start. So far, he is pitching this as a cure to inevitable impairments and disabilities, but it's not clear which one he is targeting. This is a problem. We need to know his end goal. we need to know his end goal is if we are going to anticipate the moral problems. He also described the Neuralink device as could Fitbit for your skull, but with tiny wires. Is this the right metaphor for an implanted device that can record and stimulate your brain? What does it cover up about the salience of neural data and a whole lot of that? So basically, he also goes on to talk about the FDA approval, which Elon needs to further the development of it. And he also made mention of the fact that Elon says that accessing deeper regions of the brain through the chip allow them to solve blindness and a whole host of other disabilities. But his main question is, why should we think of disability as a problem to solve using such technology, like implanting in someone's brain? Because
I think
what would be a better solution?
It's more or less like a question. Should it be a proper
I
means
think this is a classic case of people trying to oppose disruption, or connoisseurs of a particular discipline opposing something, a disruptive force that typically is not grounded in that discipline. Classic case is the kind of feedback Elon got when he started SpaceX from even people like Neil Armstrong. They didn't speak of him in a very favorable light because they felt that commercial space travel is just attempt to line your pockets as against furthering science. Next case, Tesla. People in gas and oil opposed this because they felt that EVs don't have a future and whatnot. So, I mean, a neuroscientist that typically is, so much enamored by what they study and whatnot and the ethics of it, obviously won't like the idea of a fancy billionaire coming with all this money, pushing the boundaries that they, on the other hand, have been trying to protect with ethical standards. But when science meets, capitalism, it's a whole different story.
Yeah, but I mean, I definitely agree with what you said, but then I also agree with him as well, because I mean, given the fact that it has something to do with the way a human being reasons, is something that should really be given serious consideration. Because
But then what's the other alternative they are suggesting?
No, he's not giving any. He's more or less like concerned.
No, I think his problem is Elon Musk is sort of sensationalizing or overestimating the possibility. Given the analogy he gave about a Fitbit for the brain, it's almost like oversimplifying something that should be a big deal, because a neuroethics expert, so to speak, would more or less see the nuances in that space as something that should not be belittled. I mean, how can you say a Fitbit for the brain? It's almost downright insulting for all he studied. So you don't expect him to respond favorably. He's like, this guy's like thinking it's a plaything while he's studying the ethics of the brain and whatnot. So it happens. And Elon Musk has this kind of snobbish nature where,
that's true.
If you notice, there was one time he even attacked, is it Boeing, saying that their rockets are a waste of US government money. Like, he has this kind of snobbish nature, so he makes very careless statements, so to speak. Fun fact, do you know the name Neuralink? Elon Musk actually bought it, Silas.
Yeah.
Coming from an article,
I saw that.
MIT Tech Review, meet the guys who sold Neuralink, that's the name.
How much did you buy it for?
Elon Musk, undisclosed. Per the article, anyway. To Elon Musk without even realizing it.
But the article was written like 2 years ago or 3 years ago.
Yeah, 2017. Yeah. But if I even bore us all with the details of the article, do you know there's something about Elon Musk and his knack for, let's say, being able to determine what is marketable and what is not. Have you noticed that thing about Elon Musk? Like,
what do you mean by what is marketable and what is not?
Could you further explain that?
Yeah.
How should I put it? That way I'll make sense. Okay, let me just. Okay, so he kind of strikes a nerve with almost every move. Like, he doesn't miss when it comes to marketing. Have you noticed? and he knows what's fancy, what to endear, what to even agitate a kind of a cult-like following and what's not. You understand?
Oh,
Who's
okay.
noticed?
Okay, yeah, that's true. Especially with the, I think I remember that clearly when he started the flamethrower project.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
the boring company as well. So like,
Yeah.
he definitely has a knack for that. But I mean, like, given that he's a business personality, a tech and business personality, would always want to like make more money and push the frontiers of innovation. I definitely feel like it makes sense that he plays on that.
Okay, let me read this part from the article. Last week, we learned that Elon Musk will start a computer-mind interface company called Neuralink. The name added a brainy new entry to Musk's growing scroll of big ideas: Tesla, Solar City, SpaceX, the Hyperloop. But that's news of Musk's nascent venture to merge man and machine social media. An electrical engineer in Ohio named Pedram Mohseni must have been slapping his forehead, obviously in regret. That's because,
no, I don't think he.
Okay, well, that's how the article puts it anyway. That's because in January, that's 2017, he agreed to sell the name Neuralink to Musk without even realizing it. And it's funny that Musk was able to contract a proxy individual or someone to represent him to go and negotiate for the name as against going himself, because he was afraid to give the impression that they would know the value of it. So that's a very sneaky business move. Very, very shrewd. Very shrewd. Looks like something Obin would do.
No, but then it makes sense because you can't really if you are selling vision, you must sell it in such a way that one, you get the right people on board, but two, you wouldn't oversell and it may end up costing you a number of things. So if I had oversold to these people, they would have ended up. I remember Silicon Valley, the series Piper, when he wanted to buy when he wanted to buy the name from I think a piping company. So he undersold the value of the company. The man gave it to him at peanuts. They gave him the name at peanuts, and the man later got bored. That's actually a huge company, and why did he have to undersell and all that? Yeah, so basically, Maxwell, let me out you. So Maxwell just sent a message that he hasn't watched it yet.
Maxwell, how haven't you watched Silicon Valley? And
probably something so niche that geeks watch. So that explains how far.
It's mainstream.
No, it's mainstream.
It's mainstream.
I'll check it out. It's on Netflix.
No. I got it somewhere I can't talk about, but I've watched it.
But it's like HBO movie, so if you have it's an HBO
Max. So if you have an account, you just watch it.
I only have Netflix, but I'll find my ways. I'll enter some corners, just like Obin did. Yeah. So that's
but okay. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because I think further down the article, the person who sold the name was actually happy. Happy that move happened, because given, as Obin rightly said, or as both of you have made those arguments about him being Elon Musk, and obviously him being the personality he is with the money, and given the impressive work portfolio he has, it makes sense that someone like that would push the boundaries of tech when it comes to brain computer interface, as compared to an electrical engineer sitting somewhere in the United States who will treat like a nobody because no one knows you. But in order for you to sell your idea, you need to have a certain personality attached, or you need to have a certain brand, or you need to be known for it. But having someone like Elon Musk coming in and actually buying into his idea, more especially the name, to actually build something he's interested in, it definitely makes sense that.
Apparently, they said he funds, like, he has 100 million of his own money in Neuralink. So it's mostly him. I mean,
he did the same thing with SpaceX. He did the same thing with Tesla. So because with Tesla, it came from the money he had made from.
No, but then looking at Elon, looking at Elon Musk, I don't think the wisest thing will be to start with shareholder money, because
He's too eccentric for that.
exactly, because until Tesla had the SEC issue, Tesla wasn't making profits, and he wasn't thinking commercial. So that was until I think last year or 2018 where he lost his chairmanship position, and he was fined. That's when Tesla had a turnaround and started looking at profits and looking at commercial viability. So you see, and for me, looking at someone like Elon Musk, it makes more sense for him to push a lot of his money because he believes in the vision. So he rather bleed millions of US dollars than bleed millions of US dollars hoping to see something work, as compared to let's say using shareholder money where they are looking for a quick out. So in case you're not making any money, they start looking elsewhere, they start withdrawing their money and start having issues. And for me, I think
talking about shareholders and all that, I have this question I wanted to put to you guys. Do you think SpaceX should go public?
Not yet. They haven't flown about 5 trips, successful trips. So it will be too early to go public.
But they take cargo to International Space Station all the time, and they are starting.
No, it was recently.
No, but they made more than 5 trips, if that's your argument, but not manned trips.
But then SpaceX, the main goal of SpaceX is to have reusable rockets, not what they are doing now. So their proof of concept has been done, but the viability of the main idea is still yet to be achieved. You get it? So all these things are used to raise funds. It's like how Tesla started. Tesla started with the Roadster. If you look at the Roadster, a lot of owners say so many good things and bad things about it. But the one thing you know is that the Tesla Roadster is the first commercial electric vehicle. So that was the proof of concept. Then after Elon Musk saw that, he realized his mistakes. They were like, okay, let's go build an actual commercial vehicle. So that's where the Model 3 came in. Then they built the Model X. Then they recently brought the Model Y and the Model 3. The Model 3 and the Model Y, and they spell sexy. And right now they are moving to they are moving to bigger. They are moving to bigger vehicles, and they branched out into power supply and all those things. So you see, the main thing for Tesla was to build a commercial electric vehicle, and they've achieved it. So it makes sense for them to go public. But then, for me, Tesla is more at I said Tesla. SpaceX is more at a crowdfunding sort of position. So they still need to find money for the proof of concept, but then they can't go to investors who are really looking for a quick buyout because the proof of concept is still shaky.
I think I watched a talk where Elon Musk was saying one of the goals of even starting Starlink, which obviously will go public when it becomes viable, is to fund missions to Mars. You understand? So Starlink, with its low orbit internet broadband thing, is just a vehicle to raise funds, and we know that it's to raise a lot of money, to raise funds to fund, so to speak, missions to Mars, which would cost a lot. That way we become interplanetary. So it looks like it's just a means to an end, and it's not the main deal.
Exactly. Not necessarily a means to an end, but okay, a means to an end.
I think that the main deal is to move humanity to Mars. I think that's the end goal.
Do you support that anyway? I don't want us to debate, but you want man to go to Mars.
Yeah, because the Earth, as we know, it is dying.
Someone made an estimate, a very crude one, that it will cost $10 trillion to start a Mars colony, and it will cost $5 trillion to take climate change seriously. So let's look at priorities. You agree?
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. I
don't know how conservative those estimates are, but do you think that we should? A lot of people are like, why do you want to leave the planet while it's not too late to fix it? What do you think?
I mean, Let me think about it this way. So the very things that would enable us survive
I'm good. How about you?
As humans currently in
Please look at home
2020,
tomorrow.
in August 2020, we basically need laptops, we need smartphones.
Okay.
And there are so many of these gadgets and devices we are currently dependent on come out as a result of these things that sort of harm the environment, like the table and chairs we sit on. People have to cut down trees. The smartphones we use, people have to mine the earth. So you tend to realize that all these things actually, even though like it makes sense that we should definitely try and sort of reduce it, I think that we can't exactly eliminate the fact that we humans, as in like everyone, is actually dependent on it. So as to how we'll be able to solve it, will probably mean we'll have to go back and live in the Stone Age. And I feel like that would.
You're trying to say because of the nature of our growth, which is founded on almost what's the word? Use of finite resources. Our lifestyle is not sustainable. Hence, the need to live here because we are using up everything.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think?
For me, I think the approach. I agree and disagree with Silas. I agree with him on the fact that
that happens often.
This whole idea that we should stop using natural resources and stuff is close to impossible. But another way of solving this is to be thinking sustainability, okay? Because right now, and let's be honest, we'll talk solar. I'll be shocked that about 50 years time, the sun crowd will start quenching. Why? Because there are so many solar panels. No, but then because like whoever thought fossil fuel will end when they discovered it at first. I mean, you understand?
That even makes the point where like we have finite resources.
We have whether we like it or not, we have finite resources. So we should think sustainability. Right now, everybody's saying wind energy. We'll use the wind that we can't even get something to breathe. The sun, we'll use the sun that we can't even get something to breathe. But then in our quest for new modern technology that's aimed at making the lives of human beings better and comfortable, we should look at how best are we going to use these resources to be more sustainable. We should look at promoting the whole idea of minimalism, and the whole idea of minimalism, I don't necessarily mean an empty house, then you just have a stone and you're sitting on it. No. But then try as much as possible to, let's say, try and combine efforts when it comes to doing certain tasks.
Silas, do you know why Obi just came out about, it's not about an oversimplified idea of minimalism? Because he's a hoarder. Do you know Obi is a hoarder? He likes keeping junk. He likes keeping a lot of stuff.
No.
Last time he told me, Charlie, I was minding my business. He tell me that I'm a minimalist, but I'm not a minimalist. I'm like, pick a side. Then he was like, I like buying nice things for myself. I was like,
No, so I like buying nice things for myself, but it doesn't mean that, for example, if let's say,
or being seen is fashion over function. It's fashion over function.
No. You're wrong. I'm more of a functionality person, but then I can buy a whole setup just to have one function. I don't mind doing. Like for example, my current PC setup I'm using, I realized that the list of things are about 15 different things that I've combined together to get a setup I need. But then for me, sustainability wise, that may not be good, but financial wise, that's what I can afford, because we have something like a docking station. You just buy one small docking station, then it does all the things that I've put these things together to do. But then what I've done is like 5 times cheaper than that docking station. Okay. So in hindsight, as I move on in life, I may end up practicing 100% of what I preach. But right now, I'm practicing about 80%.
But I tend to realize that even though you have made it cheaper, you have ended up using more resources.
Exactly. So,
hence, he is hoarding a lot of stuff.
No, it's not.
Hence,
it's not hoarding.
That isn't exactly sustainable in the long term.
No, it's sustainable. It's sustainable to me because Another thing we should also
No, I'm talking about environmental sustainability. Not
Go and look at the kind of stuff
Okay,
he's been buying on AliExpress. Go and look, you'll be surprised.
Hey.
Trinkets and weird stuff, bro. It's not on a need basis. People just be. He went to get a backrest. Okay, for the backrest you go from China more there. For the backrest you go from China more there. I support it. It's very
exactly.
good.
And also to the webcam, the camera coupler for the direct power. So we realized that we've been talking for close to 1 hour and haven't had any video cards. Yeah, so you see, even though someone would have just bought a Logitech 1080p camera, I just used my already existing camera, connected a USB cable to it, got a USB cable extender, connected a Gorilla pod, mounted it, got a coupler, got a USB whatever, and connected.
Hoarding.
It's not hoarding. It's
hoarding.
It's about functionality.
That's a lot of junk.
It's making it work.
That's not minimalist at all.
It's about making it work. Anyway, so what I was saying is that if we look more around environmental sustainability, where we can, as people living on this earth, we can decide that, okay, we are going to share resources in these ways. So when it comes to our factories may end up using renewable sources of energies. But then let's say since our homes don't take as much power as our factories, let our homes still work around fossil fuel or even hydroelectricity sort of. Then maybe our cars should run on natural gas or something, or it should run on the electricity which we have. Because let's not be shocked if let's say this electric vehicles you are talking about, the cost of charging your car in like the next 10 years will be the same as buying fuel today. Don't be shocked. So it may happen.
Well, I mean, that's all good and well, but I'm quoting from a book I read by Yuval Harari called Sapiens. Apparently, he's saying that the whole concept of economic and human advancement is in itself not sustainable. Science wants man to live longer, while in a natural setting, man is not supposed to live longer. What happens when there is better healthcare, better reproductive health, better everything? We spend longer than we are supposed to be here. Hence, our ballooning population compared to others. So we would obviously outstrip the resources that at some point. There's no two ways about it.
There's no two ways about it that eventually human beings, because I don't know if I discussed this with you guys, and I think probably we discussed this on another episode. I don't really remember, but then I was thinking that how come, like for example, how come the laptop this slim wasn't existing about a decade ago when we were growing up? Like I was really wondering, was it that as human beings we are now discovering, I don't know if it's a deja vu or we discussed it, we are now discovering what the earth can do for us, or we are, as time goes on, we are making things better and this is now the time to make things better. Did we ever discuss something like that?
I don't think so. At least probably not on the podcast. Maybe it was a casual
conversation. I was thinking about it that, for example, this smartphone, how come this smartphone is now coming now at this part of human existence? And this smartphone wasn't existing about 10 years ago. And it was Steve Jobs and Apple that discovered that a phone can look like this.
Well, I think the closest I can give you to an answer with that is the dispensation. Hey God, how do I explain this? This is a very tricky question. Okay, so it's about
it's not like
what knowledge
answer though. So
true.
I don't really know what the answer is because like it's very confusing.
Well, it's got to do with how advanced Hey Brady, hey Silas, you worry me. Hey. Okay, it's got to do with how advanced knowledge is as at the time, because apparently somewhere in the 1600s we had people in present day Massachusetts burning witches at the stake because they were superstitious. At that time, smartphones, imagine if they were existing, they would probably be considered as controversies of witchcraft, so to speak. So it's what knowledge exists at that time, what research or what science is promoted at that time. So I guess even these flat screens that we consider as cutting edge in present day, in the next 10 years, they will be, replaced by maybe holographic or whatever, or hologram kinds of screens or whatever. So it's all about what we keep on, iterating and discovering.
Given with time, we tend to expose ourselves to more knowledge, and then as knowledge cap increases, that's when we realize that we're able to solve or we're able to come up with more things. So, right from when we discovered fire to the Industrial Revolution to the Internet Revolution to the Fourth Industrial Revolution, we tend to realize that as the knowledge of humans increases, that's when we tend to build more things and try to solve more problems. And then you tend to realize that out of the innovations we even build, we create problems for the innovations.
True.
So like something like the Industrial Revolution, where we start using steam engines and oil and fossil fuel and all that, we created problems for ourselves, for our environment, and then problems technology-wise. And currently in this day and age, there are things we are currently trying to solve, and that is also setting us up for another set of
more problems,
another set of problems. So but I feel like it's an endless cycle. It will still continue like that.
A lot of people often make this argument that science and human advancement came to be when we learned to collaborate more. You see, in the age of agriculture, or from when we moved from being hunters and gatherers and we started becoming commercial farmers, or the age of agriculture, you realize that social groupings became a more realistic thing. People lived in communities. And when you live in communities, there are interactions. Then fast forward to the age of enlightenment or whatever, where there were sciences, there were philosophers and whatnot. People could collaborate. Then fast forward to the age of the steam engine. We realized that people like Nikola Tesla and the like, they had to try and make submissions to the Royal Society of Scientists and these kind of bodies that safeguard, or they were gatekeeping science or knowledge. So collaboration was increasing. Now we have present day systems, internet, community of scientists. So when human collaboration towards a particular goal like science and innovation is increased, like the barriers are lifted from language to whatever, you realize that we tend to innovate more. And you have African scientists collaborating with, in classic cases, tech giants. You see, they are just an amalgamation of all kinds of brains from all parts of the world. And you see that the innovation is highest. For example, Google, the CEO of Google is Indian. Then they have certain divisions being headed by people who are bringing brains from different kinds of cultural setups. And they are collaborating towards one goal. Hence, how big a success they are. So collaboration when it comes to knowledge, acquisition, and advancement is very key. What do you think?
Yeah, I very much agree with that. And most importantly, about the part about diversity, because we live in different environments, and then we all have different perspectives on how things should be done. But I tend to realize that given our differences and our different perspectives, when we come together, we're able to. I don't know how this works. But once people from different backgrounds come, you just know that you just divide and you start to produce things. Like for instance, if it wasn't for KNUST or probably high school or anything, I'm not sure any of us would have met to actually come together to produce this podcast. So all these things foster human innovation.
But given that we know this as a matter of fact, is it not really damning, so to speak, that Africa doesn't have a continent kind of collaborative platform for innovation? Because in Europe, a lot of their space explorations and all those things, they have a regional body that oversees things. They have, I think, European Institution of something, space agency, which is equivalent to NASA, you understand? So that's where they recruit talent from all parts of the globe, in some cases even beyond Europe. where they are collaborating to build state-of-the-art rockets and booster engines and whatever. But in Africa, you realize that we are actually like an academy where big countries or big institutions like Ajax or like the way like the way Raptors stood Kawhi Leonard. So Africa is like this kind of academy that we groom talent, but we don't use it ourselves. That means we'll always be behind innovation and whatever. Or being a back. That was a long break. Where do you go? Okay. Anyway,
but
so
about that point though, with Africa, I feel like I mean you make a very good point though, but I feel like the kind of problems we need to solve haven't been solved yet. So we can't exactly focus on problems that are like first world countries are currently looking at. Because first
this is a simple question.
That be a question.
Every time Bogis is giving us malaria business, but hey,
I think right now we can take advantage of okay, this is my theory. So China sent their people out to be trained and brought them back. And right now we have so many talents leaving the country, and we have the West also getting tired of immigrants. So it will make more sense if these people come back, decide to sacrifice for about a decade, and then build up their countries.
A decade. A decade is long.
A decade is actually short with respect to a country's development.
When you're hungry. No, I'm not talking about a country.
No,
the individual
look at when
you come back home, but can your government
Kufuor left office about 12 to 13 years ago.
Yeah, 12 years, 2008.
Exactly. And see the difference, see the amount of debt we've accumulated as a country, see the amount of progress we've made or we've not made as a country from when Kufuor left till now. I'm being diplomatic. I'm being diplomatic, but then we all get a point.
I made a lot of progress.
We've made some amount of progress, but then compared to when we had.
Hey, I got my NSS certificate via email. That's progress. That's fine. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's progress.
It is progress. It is progress.
Baumia, shout outs, Baumia.
So you see, having that in mind, you realize that it's not a decade is not too long ago. Even in your own life, a decade you'll be just about 30 something. Your early 30s. And your early 30s is actually where a lot of people start to discover themselves. So you realize that a decade is not actually long if you dedicate yourself and have an action plan. But then my problem is
does the country have an action plan? That's the question.
Exactly. That's my problem. Because
you always need that ground to dwell in.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what China did. That's what the US did. Even the US, sorry to say, the US did that with slavery. The West in general.
That's what I'm sorry to say. They did it and it worked.
It worked, exactly. They said that okay, we won't do this work.
Those of you who plan to visas, bear in mind that you made those statements.
But then the
FBI, if you are listening, it's just the two of them, not me.
It's in the defense of the new people, the new generation. They are trying to change what the old generation did. But the old generation built the country on these people I'll call immigrants to be diplomatic. These people, so they said, okay, we'll import these people into their country.
Please, they were not immigrants. They were commodities. Say it as it is.
They were, yes.
Traded for glass, mirror, and salt.
Yeah.
Yes, but then I'm trying to, okay. Yes, so as what Silas said, they were that. And emphasis all. Wow. So they were that. So you realize that these people said that, okay, if these people are coming into our country, they are going to take care of our families, they are going to take care of our farms, they are going to be used to build this. Even in ancient Egypt, even the Bible, we realized that some people were taken into exile, some people were taken to work for slave masters to build their country, not necessarily to sit there and be locked up.
That was the business of the day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So So we as a people should have an action plan that if this power coming into this country, they are going here, they are going there, they are going. Even see the recent debate about the whole Ejapa and gold commodity thing. Right now, the government
royalties,
the royalties thing. Right now, the government is saying that. So you see, in actual sense, that the deal in all its aspects is so shady. But right now, they are bringing the whole thing about the fact that the people who are leading the company are experienced within that area. But it doesn't change the fact that the whole deal is shady. Even the person has managed the World Bank for 30 years. If the person is doing something wrong, the person is wrong. If people tell, even to the extent that I think Franklin Kujo. Exactly. That's what they're trying to say now.
The other party might say it to be good in the sense that they'll obviously get more insurance.
It's technocrats and well-meaning Ghanaians against the government, not necessarily NDC. NDC on opposition might say something, but then when you look at that,
moreover, to who noticed the relatively rushed nature of the deal. I mean, I was just there. I heard that Parliament had to pass this, and if you followed, the minority staged a walkout, because of by virtue of the fact that they are the majority, they still passed this controversial deal. So it should tell you that they expedited it because there was ulterior motives behind it.
Exactly.
But if you come up and you speak, it sounds as if it's partisan.
And right now they are pulling the whole. The people involved are experienced, so automatically it makes sense to the extent that Imani is bringing out Imani is a think tank, a very influential think tank in Ghana, and it's run by Bright Simmons, like one of the most intelligent people on this earth, period. He is coming out to
what kind of Persec hype is this?
No, it's not really. Okay, you said Persec. You said Persec, not me. So someone like Franklin Kujo is telling you that look at this thing well and try to iron out the issues before you pass it, because it might affect the future generations. And you come out to say that
you don't need civil society organizations
input.
I heard that one.
Because we have the men. Like, I don't mind going into politics, but then one major theme I'm hearing is politics will change you. Don't think you're the one going to change politics. But then I don't know if.
I thought you said you didn't like telling people to vote for you.
Yes, but then there are different aspects of politics, because there are people who work within parties to help respect to policy. In different areas, but then there are still politicians, and there are the front end people who go and solicit for votes and all those things.
And that's not you, apparently.
No, that's not me. That isn't.
Okay, I think we've spent a lot. Big news coming for batteries. Apparently, there's a self-charging battery discovery. Who heard that one? TechCrunch, self-charging 1,000-year battery startup, NDB, ACES key tests and lands first beta customers, August 25. Pleasanton-based green energy startup NDB Inc. has reached a key milestone today with the completion of 2 proof-of-concept tests of its nano diamond battery, NDB as the abbreviation. Okay. One of these tests took place at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory and saw NDB's battery tech manage a 40% charge, which is a big improvement over the 15% charge collection efficiency of standard commercial diamond. Okay, so apparently they said the battery doesn't generate any carbon emissions in operation and only requires access to open air to work. And while they are technically batteries, because they contain a charge which will eventually be expended, they provide their own charge for a much longer than the lifetime of any specific device or individual. So this could change the face of electric vehicles, cars, smartwatches, any battery-powered device. Do you think it's possible, or is just a PR stunt?
I mean, the mere fact that they've come out with it means that it's possible. But I don't know, do they have like a research paper on it? Because I feel like it defies some laws of energy or like some laws of physics, as you know.
But you know, this is to prove with the new advancements of technology is to prove that laws of physics and stuff were actually subjective and can actually be contested if need be. And for gravity isn't actually gravity, but then there are some other nuances of gravity that we haven't discovered yet. But then gravity is just the surface of it. And it goes back to my initial. It goes back
the
to my
science
initial
and knowledge
statement.
of the time always limits what we perceive as possible, isn't it?
As possible, yes.
Yeah.
And this also goes to prove the fact that don't really limit yourself to the status quo. You can think outside the box, and not everything everyone tells you is actually the truth, for the lack of a better word.
Yeah, like you guys telling me to cut my hair.
Or your bosom, that's different.
But one thing I find interesting though is that these batteries can last from anywhere from a decade to 28,000 years. That's a very long time.
Is it theoretical or they've done some amount of experimentation to prove that?
They've done an experiment, proof of concept.
Yeah, I mean, with those experiments, you can obviously like sort of forecast or sort of assume how long it will last. I mean, like most of physics is based on assumptions. So it sort of makes sense that they make this estimation.
Their goal is to ultimately commercialize a version of their battery that can self-charge for up to a maximum lifespan of 28,000 years, created from artificial diamond encased carbon-14 nuclear wastes. That's a mouthful.
Yes. I bet there's a lot of chemistry ongoing here as well. I mean, the chemistry behind the battery and with physics and all that. Wow.
Let's see what happens with that. Last news: Apple officially shuts down Epic Games developer accounts. That's a nail in the.
Please, I'm tired of them.
They said no way.
But then you see, this can be the beginning to an end for Apple, because right now Apple is, right now the lines between Apple and Android is gradually blurring.
Yeah.
Because
seamless
Apple
system evangelist for.
I mean, exactly.
No,
because one thing Apple also has over the ecosystem. Yeah, I say one advantage of Apple is that the ecosystem still works. So, and Android doesn't have.
Samsung is creating an ecosystem for themselves. Samsung is beefing up its security. Android in itself is beefing up its security. Android is metamorphosizing into more devices as compared to Apple.
Yeah.
Android is in TVs. Android is in cars. Android is in this. Android is in that. Android is in so many things that Android is actually becoming a lot of things as compared to Apple. Apple is now also copying Android's UI, user interface, and some of the user experience. So for me, in like about 5 years, the difference will be blurred. But then Android has the pure advantage of being on so many other devices as compared to Apple. So, and Android is owned by Google. So they have Google's data to feed into whatever they do. You get it? So they might not becoming so powerful that all this Apple monopoly might be the beginning of an end. Because trust me, General Electric used to be a very powerful company even before our parents were born.
Wait, is Apple a monopoly? I thought, like, because in the smartphone market, I thought like it's even. Apple isn't exactly a monopoly.
Not necessarily a monopoly, but then Apple is a monopoly with respect to the people who use it. So like when it comes to their developers on the App Store, if you want to be on an Apple device, you have to go through Apple. It's not like you get what I'm saying. So like for example, Android is a monopoly within the Android space. because Android is the bigger picture. Android controls everything. You have to go by their rules. You get it? But then when it comes within Android, for example, the devices, Samsung is not a monopoly within the smartphone device system, because if you don't like Samsung, you can move on to LG, you can move on to Google Pixel. You get it? But then when it comes to operating system, Android is more of a monopoly, and no one besides Android and for initially I could say I can actually it would be safe to say Apple and Android share the space. So, but then since they are the two people, it becomes a monopoly, because it's either you go for this or that. But then when you have more players who can come into the mix so that they divide up the market share, that's when you can have a choice. I know if what I'm saying makes sense.
I think one of the big I mean I get your point. It's a bit complex, but I get it. I think one of the most problematic things, obviously, it's been going well for Apple in the last few years, is much of their business.
The fact that they hit $2 trillion doesn't mean that things are going on well for them.
Well,
no, by what indication? No, by what indication? You've hit trillion.
No, listen.
2 trillion.
No, 2 trillion. Nah, you see, we tend to realize that if I have $1 billion right now, everybody will think that, oh, I'm doing well. But per my standards, I'm not doing well, because technically Apple is not doing well per their standards. Because smartphone sales are not as high as usually.
Apple has hit.
But then
Apple
so
has
right now, that's what they are trying to do.
It has to reinvent itself.
Yeah, so that's why they introduce things like the Apple trading. Like when you change your phone, you'd be able, like if you trade an old version of your phone, you get a new version of the device. So technically speaking, it's not going so well for them, but just that they are making a lot of money.
So let's move me to their standards. So let me keep quiet.
I'm just saying.
Okay, so I think.
Just disclaimer notice. I'll be the devil's advocate on this podcast. So
okay.
If they are trying to say anything that sounds okay or cool,
if this was a video, if there was a video form of this podcast, you don't even have to issue that disclaimer. Your looks alone will confer that position to you. Anyway, so I think Apple's problem lies in the fact that much of its device business is founded on its OS, as versus Samsung. So Samsung is not trying to, keep a handle, so to speak, on the Android space. They are just playing around in that space, trying to do the best they can, improve their version of it, as versus Apple that wants to make it a whole package and wants to make it as strict as possible, although they promise you security, which is
no,
true.
because they own
okay. I think another thing I think we have all missed is that, with iOS 14 is actually, Facebook released a report, I
heard that one,
where like iOS 14 will actually be problematic for their business model.
Their targeted
given
marketing.
given that 99% of like Facebook revenue comes from ads. Apple is literally like cutting that away, because now users will have to opt in to share their data. And I've been using the beta for over a month now, and for any application you want to use, asked if Apple always pops out this message if you want that application.
But then the unfortunate thing is that Android cannot do this because it's owned by Google, and Google is the master of using your data to sell things.
Android is also open source too, so it's not exactly like Google can have like a say on it, but still the parties can still do whatever they want.
But then there's conflict of interest, because even though it's open source, they can limit user data access, because that one doesn't really affect the whole open source nature.
That's very true.
But then there's conflict of interest where Kwame Atta, the owner, is known for using your data to sell you things. You get
so you see, Apple is first in Charlie.
Hey, did you hear that Tecno devices were found to have malware?
Yeah, Malware. Yeah, I saw that.
Item number 5. I was about to talk about that. Cheap Chinese smartphones stealing data from Africans.
Yeah,
That was on
Africa.
item number 5.
Emphasis on
Yeah.
Africa.
Africa.
Africa,
Yeah.
the world's second largest, a population of 1.2 billion
let's
people,
watch this video.
and a huge and growing market for cell phones. Sure, there are iPhones and Samsungs and Nokias, but in Africa, it's really about Tecnos. They're made by a Chinese company called Transsion that ironically has never sold a single handset in China. So how exactly did it come to dominate the African market? By tailoring its phones to the people who live there. Local languages are on the keyboards. The company says that its cameras adjust light to take better selfies of people with dark skin. And the phones have a long battery life. That's important because of what's called load shedding. Countries like Nigeria, South Africa, and Ethiopia shut down the power for long stretches to prevent the
Thank
whole
God they
grid
didn't
from
mention
overloading.
Ghana.
When
Yeah,
you
that
use
is
your
actually
phone for
Ghana.
hours at a time, having extra juice is a huge plus. And maybe the biggest thing Tecnos have going for them? A budget-friendly price tag. Most of the phones cost less than $200. Some are as cheap as 15 bucks. That's a game changer in sub-Saharan Africa, where more than 40% of the population lives in poverty. By zeroing in on the specific needs of its customers, Transsion beats the competition. It now sells nearly 1 of every 3 smartphones in Africa.
One of
So
every
what's next?
3.
Other developing markets. Transsion is targeting India, Russia, Indonesia, Bangladesh, all with the same strategy. Think global.
I mean,
Yeah. Well, they're crazy, oh. What? One of every
I don't think
3.
this video made the point.
No, this one was more about how they managed to infiltrate the
Oh,
African.
okay.
Yeah. One of every 3.
And they don't sell any of that junk in China.
Oh, I call it junk.
No, didn't you hear? Okay, well, so to speak, but they said that they haven't sold a single unit in China. That
Hey,
means
I
it's
just
made for Africa.
realized I realized something that my Huawei device actually has a desktop mode, so you can connect it wirelessly and dock it, and it will come on your display as a desktop screen, and use your PC as a touch, and use your phone as a mouse pad. Yeah, I discovered that.
But Samsung does that. Are you aware?
Yeah, Samsung released that feature like 3 years ago.
Okay. All right. So let's move on. I thought I discovered something new. So anyway.
Yeah. So this is a threat to security, so to speak, and I don't think we are in any position to solve that because they've been able to identify an infrastructural deficit, for example, with providing longer lasting batteries, and that's meeting a certain need. So if the trade-off is stealing our information, so to speak, so be it, I guess. Can't really help it, can you? Okay, last item before we wrap it up. I think this pretty much captures This pretty much captures the problem. Sorry, the rally of most U.S. tech stock. This article was published by Forbes. Apparently, U.S. tech stocks are now worth $9 trillion cumulatively, eclipsing the entire European stock market.
I think the U.S. stock market will eventually collapse. Because right now, a lot of people are investing so much in the stock market, and there's an illusion of growth. It comes back to the whole 2 trillion thing. Website has made a point that externally it looks like the companies are doing well because a lot of people are pumping a lot of money, and this 2 trillion is mostly investor money and the stock prices. So you see, the more people invest, market value, exactly, that's the word. The more people invest in it, the more the market value increases, and they don't necessarily equate to the fact that the output is increasing. You get it.
Exactly.
So eventually,
to build up on that, I think the parameters for speculations are getting weaker and weaker. And if you see a classic case of Tesla's valuation, it's mainly based on the fact that they are the biggest EV player in a market that strategically is playing into their hands, as versus focusing on parameters like how many vehicles have they been able to ship, even though Tesla has time without number failed to meet certain deadlines, so much so that even Cybertruck deadline is told to be extended by an extra year. So when it comes to tangibles, they really are not based on that when it comes to speculation. So you see people saying Tesla is worth 300 billion, while the tangibles as to how many vehicles they produce pales in comparison to what Tata even produces. So these things all feed into certain speculations that will obviously boost stock. So you see that people are always living in a certain cloud that they have something good, but in actuality, it's just smoke and mirrors, and it's not worth it if you look at it. So yeah.
That's an Imagine Dragons album, by the way. Smoke and mirrors.
Yeah. So to get to that point, like you said, the market will collapse. So we've seen it. 2008 bubble, the Great Depression. They will happen. It's a cycle anyway.
Yeah. All right, guys. So that's all the time we have for you.
I don't buy Airbnb stock. You said you buy it in the last 2 episodes. Bad decision.
It might increase with time. For long term, yes, but for short term, no. Because whatever happens in the near future, when tourism goes back to normal, you realize that they will return, that their game will also go up, because they've changed the whole tourism industry and the whole hotel industry. Anyway, so I think that's all we have for this episode of the Self-Taught Novice Podcast.
It's a pretty long one. I think we've exceeded 1 hour, haven't we?
Yeah, we exceeded 1 hour, and yes, we exceeded 1 hour as usual. And guys, thanks so much for listening to this entire episode. To all the 3 of you who have been listening to us, we really appreciate you. And with all the 3 people who have been listening to us,
we have a bigger audience than that. We have a huge market cap, 300 billion.
You try the numbers. I know there are 3 people: my father, my mother, my sister, who are watching us, so who are listening to us. So they can even doubt they even know they've even listened to the show.
How fulfilling.
All right. So if you have any questions, I also want to state this, that I like it that we've had quite a number of people who have expressed interest in coming on the episode. That's fine. And we are looking at doing the whole guest thing again, and we are still trying to figure out schedules and stuff and see how best. But then for me, I actually enjoyed this whole 3-person thing where we ramble about just random topics. But I think moving on, I would have said this off, but then let me just say it now. We should also be scouting for more local topics. More local topics too. So we can do, let's say we can do a 50-50 split, international and local, so that we can also dissect our local ecosystem, because there's a lot of
we
things
spoke about
happening.
Kantanke's EV. That was very local.
But then today's topics were all international, but then with a local twist, because the perspective was from a local perspective. But then we shouldn't really sideline our people. We are in, whatever happens, we are in Ghana, we are in Kumasi, Salatis and Kaswa. Our borders are closed.
That's right.
So anyway, so guys, reach out to us on social media, and also the 3 people was just a joke, because realize that in 1 year we've had about 833 episode downloads, and we have a total of about 30 episodes, and that's actually it's huge for us, because I've been sitting on the whole marketing efforts of this podcast, and I know Maxwell is coming to.
Oh, the first. When a video snippets day, do. Charlie, the list is long. I didn't see.
So we really appreciate the fact that at least with the little that we are doing, we've had about 833 downloads, and we have about a total of over 30 subscribers across all the platforms. And really appreciate all of you for listening.